So I like to play with numbers and charts. It just helps me to put things down, and I just give this out, and so anyone could take the charts and spreadsheets I make and kind of play with them on their own to kind of see their own scenarios. Because a lot of times it's information they can figure out on their own. Once, and it's easier if you see it visually. I'm going to share this below, and I believe I put the right protections in here so you can't screw up the formulas. And there's also other charts that I made here as part of it. I'm kind of doing a series and, like showing people rent versus buy, what the numbers look like, short term, long term, if they're selling it or not, cost of waiting, assuming appreciation and maybe rates going up, what the house today would possibly look like tomorrow. But today, we're going to go over seller credits because right now we're seeing a good amount of price reductions where home is not selling right away. So the agents pretty much jump the gun and go to a price reduction. It's got to be the price. Well, the truth is you can drop the price on a home and, that would trigger their MLS to show that the home was reduced and maybe more people would see it and maybe the new price would fit within people's budgets. But what people need to realize is the home price isn't what we qualify people on. People get qualified to buy a house on how much money they have to come out of pocket at closing and how much they are going to be paying monthly for the house. So home prices are going to change based on what they qualify for as they pick a different house with different taxes or as rates go up or different down payment requirements. So the price of the home is not the main factor. So if the solution is to just drop the price of the home, it's not helping much because it's not like people are going to buy it all cash, right? Some things you buy on sale at the store, at the mall, whatever, when the prices drop, it's great because that's dollar for dollar savings. But when a home price drops, unless you're paying all cash, right? Chances are you're not going to really see the benefit of a price reduction, right? So, because most people finance, and the financing is going to have only out-of-pocket requirement, which is a percentage of the price. So, you drop the price, let's say $10,000, $5,000. What are you really changing out of pocket for the client? Really nothing. What are you changing for their monthly, ongoing? Probably nothing. So I put this chart together, and this is not a commitment to lend. This is not actual terms that are being offered. I mean, they probably were at some point, but as you can see, I'm using whole numbers, 4,000 closing expenses. I have no idea. I just really want people to see the differences, really just an illustration to see what possibilities are. And that would hopefully spark some conversations to really get into the numbers with the sellers and the buyers, because instead of even offering a lower price, you can offer credits and what's really going to help you more. And this is not all encompassing. There, within all these options, like there are more details, depending on how much credit's available from the seller. Like for a closing cost credit, you could have enough credits where not just covering closing costs, but maybe if the client has mortgage insurance, maybe the credits can buy out the mortgage insurance completely. So instead of reducing their payment by $20 a month, you can buy out the mortgage insurance, which could be $200, $300, $400 or more a month, depending on the price of the home and credit score. And you can combine it. You can reduce their closing costs and buy down their rate and possibly buy out the mortgage insurance, the whole thing. So you can make a really significant impact on a buyer's qualifications. And that would actually have more qualified buyers available for a home. As rates go up, as prices go up, it's harder for more people to qualify because incomes don't go up as quickly. But if you can drop the monthly on the home, and or the out of pocket, then you would have more people potentially qualifying for the home. All right. So feel free to play around with this, right? I made it, you can change anything here, change the down payment amount, closing costs. And I just put the taxes and insurance so you can see what the monthly is. That's not going to factor into comparison because that's apples to apples. And of course, I'm not showing any mortgage insurance because that's more complicated because that's goes into credit scores and how much of a down payment. And, there's only so much I can actually put together on a spreadsheet without spreadsheets being my full-time job. So, there's more to this, but again, just based on just going to start conversations. And I don't know why this section's green. I forgot why I did it. But anyway, when you do this, right, when you change the years to compare and change your data, you're going to see each of these columns. Right. At the bottom, it's going to highlight which one is the most expensive, which one's the least expensive. So for the lowest paid at closing, highest paid at closing, it's going to be a green, which is the lowest paid out of pocket. And then the red, highest paid out of pocket at closing. And likewise, calculate what they're paying total over the term of this illustration, including their down payment. So after the first year, including their down payment, including the monthly payments they'll be making, minus the credits, plus the cost, whatever, this is going to be the total that a buyer would be paying based on this illustration, right? So you can see it in the first year with a $6,000 seller credit. One more thing, sorry. When you have seller credits, right, if you don't use them, right, meaning if your costs are less than the seller credits, you don't get that back, right? In a VA loan, the seller can actually pay the buyer's debts, which is pretty cool. But in most cases, any excess seller credits would just go back to the seller. So, this is not a great illustration for details like that. But if that's the case, we will find ways to use the seller credits. So that's when we would look at buying on the rate in addition to the, covering the closing costs, or other things. We can get creative with the home warranties, things like that. However, this is just an idea, right? So you can see that the difference here, even though there's a $6,000 credit, it's only showing a $4,000 difference because the closing costs are only $4,000. And here, and not the most obvious place, is the excess seller credits. All right, okay. So what this is showing you for this example right here, after the first year, that the closing cost credit will be the least amount out of pocket at closing for this scenario, and no credits at all would be the highest. I mean, that's pretty straightforward. And the lowest out of pocket for the first year would be the 2-1 buy down, and the highest would be the no credit. That would be the market rate. Now, a 2-1 buy down, I'm not a huge fan of them because they only help out some people, and and if you keep the loan long enough, then the benefit goes away. But what it is seller credits are used to pretty much subsidize the mortgage for the first 2 years. There's actually a 3-2-1 buy down, so it's 3 years. But what it is for the first year, you're getting your interest rate 2% below the market. Second year, you're getting it 1% below the market. And then the third year, the rate just goes up to whatever the rate would have been from day one. I'm more of a fan of permanent rate buy downs because that's for a longer term thing. So you're buying down the rate, not as much as you would with the first year, 2% below market rate buy down, but over time, longer time, you will see the savings build up. And again, more details go into this because if you do refinance within the first 2 years, if there's excess seller credits from the buy down, I believe that gets credited. So, it's more complicated. So it may or may not be applicable depending on where the market goes and what you do. But again, just an idea. So this shows that after the first year, out of pocket total, the 2-1 buy down is a little bit better overall by $300, over a year. And compared to the baseline, no credits, the closing cost credit is going to be the least out of pocket, sure. But if you go to 2 years, it changes things a little bit. Still, it's the closing cost credit is going to be the least out of pocket, blah, blah, blah. And then the 2-1 buy down. But then once you go to year three, then the 2-1 buy down is no longer the best priced option because now you have that rate went up to the fully index rate, and then your permanent buy down is averaging out to be better price for the client. So then that's when this one picks up right there. And I believe if you go down over time, it's just going to continue to keep going up because the rates are, it's going to be permanent buy down. So you can see that the closing cost credit only affects the out of pocket a little bit, right? Whatever it is. The 2-1 buy down only helps out for the first 2 years, really. And the price reduction, and then the permanent rate buy down is going to be a long-term solution, but the permanent price reduction doesn't help at all. Like there's no scenario here where that is the better price. So, stop talking about the home prices and let's talk about the financing. That's what we're actually paying. All right. So hope this helps. Feel free to make a copy of this. So if you want to change some of the data, you can save it and share it with people. I don't know if I made this so you can rebrand it. So, anyway, just keep my name on it forever. Just do that. But as I make more charts, I'll share them. I may or may not update this exact one. But if you look at this link here, I'm going to post it in the video. That would go to this spreadsheet, so you don't have to worry about this long link. And if you do bookmark that link, michaelthebroker.com/RVB, rent versus buying is what I started as, even though it's a bigger spreadsheet. I can and I will update the target spreadsheet, so that will always be the same. So you don't have to worry about this. So hope this helps. Any questions, let me know. But let's start thinking, more better. Let's more better thinking for our clients. All right, whatever.